Hi, everybody. I'm Ralph Benmergui. Welcome to Not That Kind of Rabbi. I don't know. I think this is number 72 or something. My friend Mike Boone, Toronto Mike, he actually knows how many he's done, which is now actually 1,000. But I don't keep track. I don't. Okay, before we start, my sister-in-law did a very nice thing over the years, which I didn't know she was doing. I love my sister-in-law, but she had been collecting articles about me over all these years. And I don't collect any articles about me and never have, right? I don't even watch something if I've done it. I don't listen to something. I just don't do that. So there I am with this big bag of clippings. And I thought, oh, that's very nice. Maybe I'll put them in a scrapbook so my kids could see them, especially my younger ones who have no idea of 3/4 of the things I've done. And I read like two of them. And one of them was somebody who thought I was the next Messiah. And the other one was somebody who thought I should never be in the business. I'm a horrible, egotistical little person. And I thought, I don't think I really need to read these. I don't want to revisit my PTSD from show business. I think I'll just leave it as it is. So in that vein, you learn, I think, over the years in the business of being public to either attach yourself to what people say or think about you, or to take your own counsel but be honest with yourself, not just go defending yourself. Oh, that guy's an idiot. That was, it was a great show. No, actually, I kind of sucked and he's right, and just relax. So that's the way some of it goes. In that vein, I don't know how many years ago, Ottawa, this guy gets up, goes on stage, never seen him before. And he's good. He seems a bit nervous, but he's good. But he seems a bit nervous. He kind of reminded me when another friend of mine, Simon Rakoff, started. He was really nervous, like so nervous that you just, please God, get off the stage before you die. And then he went away and did some one-nighters and came back tough as nails and never returned. This guy sort of just kept evolving. And then he took that nervous energy and he made it the act. So that he would just look at you, usually with his hands near his mouth, and kind of just plead with you to understand what this life is about. And I loved it. And I just thought he found his voice, and he didn't think, my voice should be, hello, I'm Jeremy. How are you? It was like, no, this is it. What you see is what you get. I'm the guy. I'm the dude. I'm talking about the man in the other right side of this picture, which is Jeremy Hotz.
Yeah.
And I don't even remember how many years ago that was, but I don't know if I want to. We used to play 30 at least. No, more. I'd say
Really?
35. Yeah. And Beacon Arms Hotel.
The Beacon Arms, man. Elvis played there. Elvis sang there.
Right.
It was so old that hotel existed when stuff was in black and white still. That's
Broken Arms. We used to call it the Broken Arms.
Oh yeah, that's my home club actually. Like, if you really go, what's your club? It would be the Beacon Arms Hotel for sure, man. Yeah.
And you go to your room, and then you go down the elevator to the basement to the club.
Yeah.
You do the gig and you go back to your room with just an elevator ride.
But during the day, that club was like a legion or something. Remember?
It was weird. Yeah.
It was really weird. Like some old men sat there and just looked at each other. I don't know what they were up to, man. I really don't. Remember? And then they had their pictures on the wall, and it was photographs of them looking at people.
Remember Gord Painter, who was blind?
He was blind.
It was a comic.
Yeah.
So we're doing the gig that week, and I come downstairs. I'm going to the National Art Gallery. I want to go look at the art at the art gallery.
Yeah, it's near there. Yeah, I know that from my mom, because my mom always goes to those museums, and she always says, Jeremy, I'm going to the museum. Do you want to go? And she's asked me like 80 times in her life. I've never said yes, but she keeps asking. Like, I'm going to suddenly be struck with like needing and knowledge.
That's a mother's job, is to do it until you say yes, right?
It's true.
So I'm walking into the lobby and I see him sitting there. So I identify myself because clearly he can't see me.
No.
And I say, "Hey, Gord, it's Ralph. How you doing?" He said, "Good. Where are you off to?" I said, "I'm going to the National Art Gallery." And he says, "Can I come?"
Hilarious.
And I go, "Yeah, sure." So we go. And what I do is I stand beside him and he says, "What are we looking at right now?" And I have to describe the painting. And it's a fabulous experience because here I am trying to tell him all the elements of the painting. And he's asking me, what are the shadings like? What's the,
Really?
Yeah. Is it dark? Is it light? And I'm telling him all this stuff. And then this woman is beside us about 3 feet away. She looks over while I'm talking to him and she goes, "Shh, would you mind?" And Gord, just without missing a beat, goes, "Hey, lady, fuck off. I'm blind."
That was Gord. That was Gord. That was Gord, right? That lady gets a blind guy to swear at her. That's Gord Painter. There it is. And she's all appalled, but she doesn't know Gord Painter swore every day.
Yeah. Because if you're blind, you never swear, of course.
Yeah, you go, fuck, I'm blind. That's what you say.
Oh my God. So
reality, I haven't thought of him for years.
He's a great guy.
He passed away in the end from diabetes. I think he had diabetes and that's why he was blind, I think.
Yeah, he had type 1.
That's what I remember.
Yeah, he had bad type 1. Yeah. So
nice guy, really nice guy, one of the nicest guys.
I mean, we're at that point now where there's, people from the fraternity, sorority of stand-up, they pass. Right?
Oh no, they're dying left, right, and center, Ralph. It's not good. We're next. Oh no. I remember when we were younger, they used to die sporadically. Now it's daily. This is ridiculous.
Gary David.
Oh gee, he was a nice guy, huh?
He was a great guy.
He was 1,000 when I started doing.
Yeah, exactly.
That man was like 1,000.
He was a guy who used to play the strip clubs because there was no club.
There were no clubs. Did you ever have to do that? Because that's before me, man. I never did a strip club.
The only thing I did was La Troupe Grotesque, Paul K. Willis and Michael Bunker, who were very close friends. They had this regular gig at the Queensbury Arms Hotel in Toronto.
Queensbury Arms.
And they had a wet T-shirt contest. And it actually paid well, this gig, right?
Like, was it really women from just the crowd, or did they
literally?
Special?
No, this is the most amazing part. No ringers required.
It was so reality.
I was just thinking, girls, what are you doing? Honestly, you're going to put on a undershirt and we're going to spray your breasts.
I really want to win. I really want to win that Jello shot.
So I did the gig because they had another gig. They had a gig at the Choo Choo Stop in Guelph, a fine gig. So
what was it called, Ralph?
The Choo Choo Stop.
Choo Choo Stop.
Yeah, very nice place.
How about the train station? You morons.
So I'm there. I need somebody you need somebody who can do bits while you're down in the audience. You need 2 people for the gig. You're down in the audience finding women who will do this, right? And they're saying, yeah. So I had to bring a comic with me, and there was this young guy who come to the club and then disappeared for 6 months and then started coming to the club again. And he had a car, and I didn't have a car, so we had to get to the Queensbury Arms. The guy was Jim Carrey.
No way.
Yeah. So Jim had done, I think, another paying gig or 2 at that point.
What year was this?
Oh my God. I mean, you're talking You're talking
80s,
late 70s, early 80s.
Wow. You did stand up a lot.
We started
70s.
Yeah, I started it when it was Yuck Yucks one buck a night, Wednesday nights, 519 Church Street. There was just this little group, and I came in at the tail end of that, and then we moved to Bay Yorkville.
Ralph? You saw
Yeah.
I never saw that room.
Oh, it was crazy, right? Because it was like a bowling alley. You just walked down the middle of it.
That's what Schuster told me. It was a long place.
And there was a boiler room in the back, and that was the green room. And all the guys were getting high in there and then walking down the thing. I never got high for those because I thought I'll lose everything. My train of thought, my connection to the audience. I don't have one already, but I don't need it this bad. So anyway, I do this gig with Jim, and Jim used to do great impressions and not so great impressions. And one of them was he did an Elvis impression as thalidomide Elvis.
Oh, geez.
right? And he's doing this with his hands, and he's bombing. Like the Queensbury Arms does not get anything he's doing, and he's doing other ones
they
that
all
are.
had thalidomide babies.
He's doing
wrong
this wrong crowd, and he's doing this, and he driving home. He was really not in a good mood. He was not happy that this has not gone well.
You remember this? This is hilarious.
Yeah, some of these things you don't forget, right?
No,
like seeing you for the first time. I actually remember seeing you for the first time and thinking,
that's amazing. Yeah,
this
you never
guy
know what's
going to come back.
Yeah.
Is he going to do this again? And does he got something going on here? And then you watch and you go, yeah, he's got something going on, but I don't know if he really wants to do this or not. Were you always clear that you were going to do this, or did you think, oh, what the hell, I'll try it?
The whole point of it is, Ralph, okay, the whole point of me is I try to do everything that isn't going to work, and I combine it all together, and then it does. That's how it's done. That's what I do. I know when you come from another thing that really hasn't been tried before, one of two things happen. Either people really love you, other comics, or they hate your guts. And that's the way that worked for me. Like they kind of view me, some comics view me as a prop act because I'm doing something that hasn't been done. Not as a legitimate comic. I'm not, I'm doing other things. And these other things that I'm doing, you know what those are? What? Acting, Ralph.
Right.
How hard is that?
I know, but I came from acting, and I was always the outsider. And the first thing I did was just characters. I only did characters, right?
Oh, you did characters?
Oh, I had a Jewish American princess, Shelley. I had a wig. Hi.
So you went from one to the other. You did that kind of act. You were an impressionist then. You were doing characters. You were an impressionist, even though they weren't people that people knew. It's still impressions of.
It was character acting. So I would, I had the one where I was the gay guy and the drag queen guy and the biker, and I would switch in the middle of a sentence. All of a sudden I sees the most gorgeous guy.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking
I get it. Yeah.
Right. And that's how that works. So
pieces.
Right. But then the reason I got out of it was hosting, you could do more often. Your act, you could only be asked back once in a while. Hosting,
you mean at the time because there weren't enough clubs, Ralph? That's the only reason why that happened. Yeah,
that's right. Not enough.
You only had a few clubs you could actually play at because comedy wasn't even really a thing then.
No,
it wasn't a thing.
Well, it wasn't when either of us started. It was still a calling. It was not a job. Today, somebody can say it's a job.
But it's different now, and because of it. Because they made it a job, it's not the same anymore. Comedy is now the people that get ahead are the ones who are the best at marketing themselves, which is Americans. Canadians don't do that. We don't stand on a box and yell, "Look at me." An American will stand on a box and yell, "Look at me," with a megaphone, for Christ's sakes. That's the difference, okay?
That's
Canadians are self-effacing. We're incredibly passive-aggressive. Like you can cut us down and it looks like we're okay with it, but 5 years later, you're screwed, man.
It's funny that troupe Grotesque I was talking about when they were at the choo-choo stop. Paul K. Willis, who passed away a long time ago, but
I met Paul K. Willis. I briefly dated his daughter, not Paul K. Willis. I think that was her name.
So Paul and Michael are doing their act at the choo-choo stop. And I said, how was it? He goes, Ralph, I had the best heckle anyone could ever have in their life. And I said, why? What happened? He goes, we're middle of a bit. And this guy stands on, like you just said, stands on top of a table and screams, "Look at me," and then falls off the table. And the whole place
brilliant.
goes,
that's
right?
Brilliant.
He said, you can't get heckled better than that.
That's brilliant. And then he fell.
Yeah, he just fell. He was so drunk, he just fell over.
I love that, man. People don't know that me and Ralph didn't do strip clubs because we were too young, but some of the one-nighters were more dangerous than any strip club I've ever been into in my life. And there's been So yeah, you could. I remember there was one place called Rolly Scagnetti's, which was, I don't even remember where the hell it was. But the guy who ran the place had a big scar across his forehead and it ran down his nose into his cheek. And his nickname was Scar. That's the kind of place. That's the kind of place it was. And I remember going on stage, and they didn't have a microphone stand, Ralph. They had the microphone hanging down upside down from the ceiling like a boxing announcer. And you had to do, and the girl before me had run off the stage in tears. That's what it was. That's what it was. And then I go out on stage and the guy just there's silence. And the guy holds up his hands and he goes, "Hey, look." And he's got two little hooks for hands and he can move them. So all you hear is click, click, click. And I go, "That's really attractive. Must come in handy when you're eating lobster." I've never seen two arms go down so fast in my life. Totally turned it around. They loved me afterwards. But then when I got home, I took the longest shower to try and get that room off of me,
Oh, absolutely. So what kept you doing what then and now? What keeps you doing this? What keeps you getting up in front of people?
It's I'm used to it. No, it's what it really is and you asked me about the character. Okay. I have generalized anxiety disorder, which is a horrible ailment, and went undiagnosed. And all the other comics used to laugh at me because I would get physically ill before shows. I would like vomit and the whole thing like that. Yeah. And now, but they didn't know. They just thought I was a little nervous. No, it was much more than that. So the hand in front of the face, the character, the whole thing. When I am at my worst. And when I have it with agoraphobia, I can't go outside some days. That's what happens. That's what it is. That's all it is.
So you actually then decide to do something that flies completely in the face of that anxiety disorder.
Well, how else could I perform, Ralph? How else could I go out there? I fake it.
But why even perform? Why would you even put yourself in a performing situation?
I realized at an early age that I would not be gainfully employed by any other job because people just didn't like the look on my face. So I was kind of stuck. Okay. Yeah, right. They say you're a natural. No, this is the only thing I can do. Okay.
Wow. That's so interesting though, right? Because sometimes, I would be standing backstage and I think to myself, why am I doing this? Seriously, why am I putting myself in harm's way? I don't really understand. I mean, it'll probably go fine.
To prove it to yourself, I think, isn't it?
I guess.
I don't know. I don't know either. It's like they say it's like you're addicted to it. I don't know if it's an addiction. I really don't think it's an addiction. No. I think it's just okay. I don't know about you, but I got to the point and have been at that point where I am more comfortable on stage than off stage just talking to one person. I've always been like that. So I can talk to large groups of people, but and there's a wonderful thing called adrenaline that people aren't I have generalized anxiety, crippling generalized anxiety disorder, and yet as soon as I walk out on stage, that adrenaline kicks in and it completely goes away until I walk off stage and right back again, so that's what I deal with.
So when you come off, you're not going to the back of the room to fish for compliments.
You've seen me. I come off and I kill and I go, "That was shit." Every
I know. Time. So why do you do that? Because
I miss it. I really believe in my head that because of that's generalized anxiety disorder. You can't give yourself a break. You just can't. Wow. You just can't. You're a piece of shit no matter what.
Like you'll just keep moving the goalpost till you get back.
Yeah. You missed again, asshole. You know what I mean? I know. I can't get around. I can't date women right now because I'm too busy calling myself a piece of shit. They read that. This guy doesn't believe in himself, I don't think.
Wow. And there's no meds that help?
There's meds that do some stuff, that help a little bit, but like for my level of it, no, of course not. No, I mean, come on, I believe in stuff. Okay. It's like, this is what it is. All right. So I stopped calling my best friend one day because I thought if she's murdered, I'm going to be the prime suspect simply because of the phone records and the number of times that I call her, right? And then I immediately started calling her later in the day because I realized that if I suddenly stopped calling her and she was murdered on that day, they'll think that I already murdered her. So I knew she was dead, and that's why I didn't call. That's what generalized anxiety does.
Wow.
Okay? That's the level of my madness right there.
Wow. And when it's happening to you, do you go, I know this
Real
is
to me,
happening?
real to me, Ralph.
Real to you.
Yeah. Clean, and it makes perfect sense. And even the dog agrees. Okay. Right. So there you go.
Wow.
You know?
Wow.
And I said, I can't get married. Like on stage, I go, I can't get married because I have this generalized anxiety disorder. And I know a lot of you married people are thinking, how do I get generalized?
Would get me some of that.
How do I catch that? And give me a bit of mesothelioma too. I don't know what it does, but there's a large cash payout. I'm tired of those commercials. I'm sorry. I really am. Every hockey game.
That's right.
Do you have mesothelioma? I can't even pronounce it, for Christ's sakes. And then the generalized anxiety kicks in and goes, you better get yourself checked for that mesothelioma. You know?
Well, you just went and you had to get a test because you were going to go on a flight. They said you had COVID, right?
Okay, I went to do, so my tour, which is on now, called the Marquis de Sade tour, and it's sad just without the E. So he's sad, get it? So there you go. So there I am, and so I'm doing the Marquis de Sade tour, and only one, because of the COVID, only one of the 25 theaters is going to go on time, because it happened to be one of the smaller ones that was under the cap limit of 500. So we had like 470 or some crap like this. So they're all there, and then I go, because I'm flying home the next day from Edmonton, Alberta, and I go to Shoppers Drug Mart. Oh, everybody trusts Shoppers. Wow, they're the friendly druggist. They're here to help. I go to the drugstore and I meet the friendly pharmacist, who goes, yeah, this guy's doing it. And then he takes the test for COVID, and I get a positive. And I go, well, give me another test, man. Because she goes, no, we don't do that. And I go, how come? And she goes, because we don't do that. It's our policy. And then I said, well, it's my policy then to go to another lab, a legitimate one, not like a drugstore where the guy working the cologne section does it. I'm going to go to a legitimate lab where there's a nurse and they do the proper test that costs $115. And then I'm going to bill you for it. And I want the money back for the $40. And she said, good luck. And I said, it's not 97%, lady. It's 57. I heard that. So stop lying. And I walked out the door, got the other test. We're all thinking the show's going to be canceled. Now, here's where my opener, Susan, she did all this. You don't understand, like, because I had generalized anxiety. When they said positive, I went, well, that's it. And I just, you know what I started to do? Okay, Ralph, this is what I did. While she was driving me to the other lab to get a negative test, I was arguing with God the entire time. I was having a fight with God. Why would you do this to me? At the very end, you're going to pull it off. You're going to leave a theater full of people all sad. That's all. That was the only thing that was in my head. A room full of people scowling at an empty stage. That's what kept popping into my head. We get to the place. I get a negative. And on the way back to the hotel, I looked up at the sky and I said, thank you, finally.
Now,
I actually said, finally.
Do you often talk to God?
No, I was so furious. I never even bring him up. Maybe that's why this happened in the first place.
That's right. Yes, you might want to look at that.
Yeah, I know. Well,
now you're calling me? That's what he's thinking.
Yeah, well, that's for sure.
Oh, for sure. All of a sudden, it's Mr. Hello.
That's so funny that you do God as a bigger Jew than you.
Well, it's interesting because when I do workshops with people, I say, let's get something clear. God's not Jewish. You're Jewish. That's your choice.
That's funny. That's
right.
Funny.
Because
You're right. He's not Jewish because he just existed, right? And then everybody followed him. You're right.
God's not Jewish. God's not even a noun. It's a verb. The one we worship is Santa God. White throne, white beard, naughty and nice list. That's Santa God.
Well, you never see the guy, and therefore you can't prove he doesn't exist. So there you go. It's a good call. It's a very good thing. Where is he? He's everywhere. Well, I haven't seen them. Yeah, but you don't have to. See what they do? You see what they do, Ralph.
Did you ever have to go to church or religion or shul or anything?
I went to a church once, and there was a kid. I went to a church once, and there was a kid, a Catholic church, and they gave their baby to the priest, and he tried to drown the fucking thing. I watched. There was a small bird bath, and he tried to drown it, and then they pulled it out in time.
He said, well, that didn't work. Here, take it back.
Yeah, I don't know
it
what
floats. It floats. That's right. Oh, my God. All right. Speaking of God and death and everything else, let's Bob Saget.
Oh, he was a friend. That's sad. That's the saddest day. This was a friend of mine.
Tell me about him.
Bobby had a cousin who was mentally challenged. I don't know if you know this. No. And so he did like a lot of funding, like a lot of events and stuff. And I did a couple of those for that kid. And then it was for that whatever ailment he had. And the kid actually drew me a painting. He made a paint, like they gave him my 8x10, and it was good. It looked like, man, I don't know how mentally challenged that kid was, because I can't do that. So maybe I'm mentally challenged. I mean, I can't paint, that was great. So I did that, and he was very happy. And every time I saw him, he always, he had such a great sense of humor. He just walked around there, just,
everybody talked about the fact
cutting down like mental illness. It was really funny. He was a
truly lovely guy. Everybody.
He really was a nice man, and that came out of nowhere. I mean, honestly speaking, like he wasn't fat, or he was in shape. I mean, but you never know when you're going to die. Look at Kirk Douglas. That was way too long. Did you see him at the end? Jesus Christ! When you start to look like a lawn ornament, you should have died. I'm saying, come on.
Well, Bob,
when pieces are falling off you, die. That's what I'm saying.
So, but Bob, it's kind of like not a bad way for a comic to go. You do a gig, you go back to the room, you die.
How worse could it be? Who was it? Dick, what was his name? Dick, the guy from the producers, the guy that I can't remember his name. He died on stage.
Oh my God. I don't want to do that, because then you really talk about the Marquis de Sade. I mean,
but I'll tell you something.
At that point, they're dead right in front of you.
But when he first fell down, they laughed. They didn't know.
Exactly.
They didn't know that's the word. Yeah. So that's kind of cool, actually.
Here's my new bit.
Laugh dying even.
That's right.
That's great.
That's right. Try this one. I remember Saget coming to Toronto to Yuck Yucks, and he would be on stage, and I learned a ton about hosting from Bob Saget, because he would have these characters he'd have in the audience.
Oh, I remember my friend Bob, who was gay the entire, I mean, it was a different time, right? It was the 70s, but I saw Bob Saget before I started doing stand-up. I saw him in Montreal. He was the filthiest act I'd ever seen in my life.
It's interesting. I opened for him once in Montreal at the Yucks there.
Yeah.
And I don't remember him being dirty. I remember him being clean, because he had, nonsense songs. He didn't do parodies of songs we already know. He did nonsense songs. Like he had this one where he just kept going in a circle going, it really doesn't matter, and it doesn't really matter, and it really doesn't really and he'd just go on till the audience was like, oh my God, is he ever going to stop doing this? And then the tension would build, and then they'd laugh. But he had characters. The young couple in the audience were Barbie and Ken.
Yeah, he did that.
Right. And then Ken with the snap-on crotch.
Yeah, he was really good, man.
He'd have the guy right in front, and he'd go, what's your name? Jeremy. I like you, Jeremy. A lot. And by the end of the night, he'd just look at Jeremy, and the whole audience would go, a lot.
Yeah.
Right?
That's great.
And I thought, this is how you do it. You make sure you've got anchors as a host, so that every night you're going to be okay. You're going to make this person you've been.
Ralph, you want to know something? Not just as a host. I do that as me. I do that during the 75-minute shows that I put on. Absolutely. You do that. Your familiarity with the audience. Anybody who said that you can't take a 2,000-seat theater and make it intimate is wrong.
Right.
Yes, you can. Oh, yes, you can. And if you can't, you're not good enough.
So here's the thing about a 2,000-seat theater that I noticed. I did a Just for Laughs once in a big room. And in a club, they laugh. Your timing is right. Yeah. This is like you say it, and then it builds like a
Oh,
ripple across the audience, and the timing is totally different, right?
I did Casino Rama. There's 5,000 of them there. You got to stand there and wait.
Yeah.
You do.
It's like,
You
okay,
do.
we're almost
Yep.
done. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So that changes your timing, right?
You slow it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It makes your show longer.
Yeah.
And you didn't have to do any work. So
Yeah, but when we were
Yeah.
young and you'd play a room with nobody in it, uh, you went through your act in minutes. It was over. There is no laughing. I mean, even if they wanted to, they were so small because you need a certain anonymity to really start laughing. That's what Mark's brilliance was. Breslin's was a totally pitch black room. So everyone was anonymous, so people could laugh whenever they felt like it without being looked at.
When it came to the show, Breslin and running a comedy club, I don't recall anyone doing it better than Breslin. One night, the fire alarm went off at the Uptown Club. There was a fire alarm, and it was right on the stage, at the back of the stage. You could see there was a big red fire alarm on the brick wall, and I picked up the stool and I smashed it until it stopped ringing. And then I went off stage, and Breslin was there, and I went, sorry about the bell, man. And he looked at me and went, wait, what are you going to do? Just like that. What are you going to do?
Well, Mark understood comics. He was a comic, and he understood them.
Absolutely.
He was a fearless comic.
Yeah.
He taught us, have guts. If you're going to go out there, don't waste everybody's time. Go for it.
He'd have to be fearless with that act. Jesus.
Yeah.
The guy howled on his knees like a dog at a lady. I remember that.
Yeah.
I don't remember the premise, but I remember that. Yeah.
Stole their purse. How has your act evolved over the years?
It's become more what happens to me in the moment. Like I'll go, I have so much confidence that I've done this for so long that in a 70-minute show, about half of it I've made up.
Wow.
Which is the only way to keep a guy doing stand-up you asked me for all those years. That's the reason. It's because I challenge myself every single time. I do. And when that stops working, I will retire.
Right.
Not when Bell Media says it's time. Go to hell. You've done nothing for me my entire career. How do you think you can end it? I did this myself without you. You can't take it away. What do they think?
But that's the beautiful part of stand-up is that, when you come from acting, for instance, you go to auditions and people say, no, yes, no, yes. Yeah. But when you do stand-up, you're in charge. It's your act. You get to walk out there and do it.
They can't touch me. And that's why I still do these 1,000-seat theater things, and and they try to take me off TV and do it. It doesn't work because no, I'm sorry. I'm Canada's Jeremy Hotz. You lost this one.
Well,
they don't get it, right? Because they haven't really had comedy in the country. So when someone's lived this long and done it, they become legendary, you morons. You can't touch that. Sorry, we didn't go away. Rock and roll will never die. Well,
it died.
It died. Sorry about that. Remember all those songs when it's never gone? It's gone. Yeah. Ralph, it's completely gone. They lied to us. They're liars. Rock and roll is gone. When was the last time you turned on a radio and went, that song's really rocking? 19.
Well, I stopped. I certainly, at a certain point, listened to much different music than I do now. That's for sure.
Yeah, well, although some of the alternative stuff does sound a little rocky at times if they apply.
Yeah, but I'm into, ambient music and Brian Eno and jazz and, stuff.
You like that weird
I like the weird
music?
stuff. Yeah. I like the weird stuff because it's a different vibration, Listen, I still love a beautifully written song. I don't care who wrote it. Like I was, exercising this morning and I put on Steely Dan, and
that was a great band though, man.
Oh my God, like just the layer and the way they did stuff. There's layers. Oh, there's a woman in your background.
Yeah, my friend Rachel, she's a singer. She's going to a session right now, actually.
Excellent. Hi, Rachel. Have a good session. All right, take care of yourself.
That's my buddy Ralph. He gave, he gave me my first, you did this. You gave me my first television spot on your show, Ralph Ben Murgy show, the talk show.
Yeah, the Friday night show.
That was the first TV spot as a comic I ever got. And I'll never forget this. You had a band on the show.
Mm-hmm.
And when the band started playing at the beginning, right before the TV taping started, they started playing, and I got this charge for the first time. Like, oh, this is gonna be cool because it's
yeah.
You know what I mean?
And it was a live show, like it was live national, like you know, they're not taking this back.
I love that.
That's great. I didn't know that. That's fantastic. I mean, that was the whole purpose.
What was it
on?
It was on a CBC, right?
CBC,
yeah, it was on
absolutely.
CBC. Yeah, it wouldn't be on CTV because the last Jew that had his own show on that network was Alan Thicke, and he wasn't Jewish.
Actually, Alan Hamill, who was before him, was Jewish.
And what year was that? 1910.
I think it was 1910.
Yeah.
Anybody that you see these days, you know, who's out there on stage, who you think, wow, this is really good.
Stand up wise?
Yeah, stand up, anything that just makes you go.
Well, that girl that just walked down the stairs, and that's a hit happening in a minute. So trust me, that thing is, you know, that the notes that she hits are break glass, for Christ's sake. So imagine what they do to your eardrums.
But anybody you see on stage, who's that woman, Australian comic who?
Oh no, I didn't like that. I know who you're talking about. What's her name? But I like as far as female comics go, I've got a really good one working with me right now who opens, called Susan Thompson, and she's Canadian. Also, there's an American here called Erica Rhodes who's really funny as well. I use her as well. She's really good. There are good comics out there that are coming up. There's just a bit of a lag right now. You know what I mean? And it's going to catch up. Don't worry. I don't even worry about it.
The pandemic certainly slowed things down.
Didn't help, you know, and no one's really going on, and we're kind of getting back to it. However, when I went on in Sherwood Park in Edmonton there, I had so much new stuff because they haven't, you know, and I just went through. I was waiting to do that stuff. I really wanted to. And I don't think I've done in one show in my life ever that much written new stuff ever before in my life.
Wow.
Just because of the situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So where are you living right now?
West Hollywood.
West Hollywood.
I lived here for like 20 years.
I like West Hollywood. Nice neighborhood.
Yeah, it's nice. It's the closest area in LA to Canada.
Yeah, it's true. My friend Matt Craven lived there and for a long time, and it was just, okay. I get. But
none of the Canada's gone. I watched the Leafs on Saturday night on the satellite, and I you know, and nothing's changed there.
Yeah, talk to John Wing about that.
Oh my God, that made my lifetime. They haven't won, Ralph. I'm an old man.
Okay, so I'm old enough that I actually all 4 Stanley Cups in the 60s.
You saw those? That's so unfair to me. Like I got none of that. No.
Yeah, I remember 67. I was 12 when 67.
Oh, that's old enough. Jesus.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I was a little kid. It was like, the Leafs win cups. And then expansion happened and they never won again. Right?
No, they never won again.
After, you know, because I went the year expansion started. I remember we watched the kids' bar mitzvah. And the dad took a bunch of us to the game, and that, you know, I was working class. There was no way I was getting to see a game. So I got into Maple Leaf Gardens. I was so excited. And it was the Pittsburgh Penguins, and their captain was from sort of a cast off from the Boston Bruins, Leo Boyven. He was.
I don't even remember that guy. I never.
Yeah. So Leo Boyven. Well, at that point, you know, these people who were like mid-level players on the original 6 were now captains of teams, right?
Yeah.
So Carol
because the talent pool was so weakened by the
Here,
added teams. Yeah.
Now, you know, you get the Vegas team and the Seattle team, and Vegas was already winning the cup, for God's sake. It was like, wow, that because you have to give up good players now. Right?
They did that one year, and then Vegas they'll never do that again because Vegas got way too big. That's just the NHL making another wrong decision. That's all that is.
So you're in America. I really worry about America, right? Like I'm really worried about America. Like the Roman Empire of today is crumbling, and we're all going to pay.
It's not good.
What is it? Like when you're in it, like Trump and everything, what do you think to yourself, what am I doing here? Or you're kind of a lobster in boiling water? What is it?
I watch Trump to see what I'm going to say about him on stage, but that's the only reason. Other than that, he makes my blood, you know, curdle. I'm not a fan of that, of the bullying of a country at all in any shape or form. And I think that whenever you hire an asshole, he's going to call you names. And that's what went on there, essentially.
But I mean, there's also, you've got an entire party that's quite happy to forget democracy and move on at this point.
The guy with the white hair, Pence.
Yeah.
That guy scares the shit out of me. There's something wrong with that man. I just, if you were ever to make a horror film, that guy. That's the guy. You want to put him as the scary guy in the film. You make him like an evil man from Glad who breaks in and says, "I'll take out the garbage," and then he murders somebody. That's what...
and that's the garbage. Yeah.
And that's the garbage.
Yeah, terrifyingly reasonable. That's what he looks like, right?
I don't like that guy at all. That guy was vice president for a minute. That guy.
Hey, he was the guy who actually did not go along with Trump exactly at the moment where he really could have gone the other way and the whole place would have blown up.
No, well, you think that, but America hangs on. Like it's very resilient. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you think?
At the last second, they seem to make the right decision and then dig themselves out of trouble. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's what they do. It's like basketball. They win with the last shot and no time left on the clock.
The buzzer beater. So they're the buzzer beater nation. Is that what we're saying?
Well, so far, I mean, we're still here, but I'm worried about Trump getting in again because what if he goes after China and starts something? Jesus, of course he will. Of course he will.
It's China.
Oh yeah, China.
You got to stop China.
Yeah, well, he's got to get rid of them, or something, and then so that's what he'll say, and then he'll come in and then start something. But meanwhile, Joe Biden's nice. He's getting a lot of sleep.
Do you see yourself as kind of American now in some way? I mean, you've been there a long time.
No, you can't take the Canadian out of the boy, right? Like they don't think the same way as me. I mean, like I got shot at. Did you know that?
No, what happened?
Yeah, I was driving to the Comedy Magic Club in Hermosa Beach, and I'll tell you where it was. La Cienega, where it turns into that oil field?
Yeah. The middle of tar pits. Yeah.
From there was a guy shooting at me from there, and
just for the hell of it,
took out the back window of my car, which cost $1,100 because it ruined the mechanism that makes the thing go up and down. But he shot at me from the thing, and then they found it was a tangled piece of metal in the back seat, and it looked like when you're in kindergarten and they give you those gold stars on your work, except a couple of the fingers were bent over. That's what it looked like.
Wow.
And then I wouldn't have noticed it. He picked it up with a pair of tweezers and he went, "Yeah, that's a small caliber ammunition."
What was your reaction when the shot hit the car?
I thought a tire blew out, Ralph.
Oh, right.
I didn't know it was the window. I thought a tire, but the car didn't shake at all.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And then you realized it was the window?
Yeah, and then I thought somebody threw a rock at the car, but it was like it's on a freeway kind of area, so there was no way. And then it had a hole and a spider web thing. Right. And then I got to the comedy club and I said, "What does that look like?" And he goes, "That looks like a bullet hole, the doorman." And then we called the police and the guy went through the back and he went, "Yeah." And then I had to fill out a report. Never heard from them, Ralphie. Not a word. Never. And that was like 5 years ago. Never knew what happened.
Wow.
I remember the policeman being mad, like offended that someone was in his area shooting at people.
Right.
He didn't like that. He took offense to it,
This is my territory.
Yeah, kind of. Like an old sheriff guy or something, They're so weird.
Did you get shot in the head by it? No. Well, then forget it. It's my territory. Even if you had, I'd be even more pissed.
But, a funny thing about that is I never thought back to it and went, "Ooh, that was close." Never.
Really?
It's almost like the way it is here. I mean, I don't know.
Wow.
I don't know. I never really.
Well, it's so random. Like, it's not like, there's Jeremy Hotz. I think I'll shoot at him.
No, I would hope, but that's not going to happen again, right? So I'm
like
the
ultimate heckle, I think, really.
Yeah, you're dead, you moron. But when somebody does that, I always think that, no, it's not going to happen again. Now that's out of the way.
Right.
I do.
Yeah, no. When I was diagnosed 11 years ago or whatever with cancer, I thought, well, you get this call eventually. I've gotten that out of the way. At least that's over with.
Yeah.
Right. And then, thank God I was okay. But it was still, sometimes you just think, oh, let's get this part over with, shall we? right?
Yeah. Well, for some people, it is an overload. That's the
Yeah,
problem.
yeah, yeah.
You're really
Well,
lucky.
yeah. No, believe
You
me.
know what I mean? I mean, you have a family and everything,
Oh
so you're,
yeah, I got
yeah,
four
you're really lucky.
kids. I'm just churning
Yeah, I
along
know.
here.
You're
It's
almost
great.
a farmer.
Oh, you're not from around these parts, are you? So you're never coming back to live here, eh?
I may buy a place,
Right,
just in case the shit gets bad here, so I got a place to run back to and live.
right.
I've thought about that. But I think vacation property, I think I'd like to get like a cottage or something because I don't like to swim, but there's no reason why I can't look through a window out at a lake.
Yeah, I don't like mosquitoes, so
I don't like them either. Bugs of any sort.
yeah. Just give me a screened-in porch, and I'll be a happy guy.
You know what I hate, actually? The bug you've never seen before and go, what the fuck is that and why? I hate those moments where you're like, wow.
Yeah, and then you realize that's what most sci-fi pictures are really. The aliens are all just our insects.
They always make aliens like insects. You're right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right? They don't make them like trout.
Yeah.
Right?
No, I've never seen the fish one.
No. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
That was fish?
Rockwell, Sam Rockwell, and he flips his head back and then another head comes up and stuff.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he was good.
I'm not a big sci-fi guy because I like the ones where they dressed people up in costumes and they were shit. Those made me laugh. I like
my 12-year-old, you know what he's watching right now? A vintage Batman TV series.
Oh, you mean from the 70s?
Yeah.
The one that we watched with the
Doobie Doobie. Yep. Yeah.
That was purposely corny, that show.
Oh, yeah. It was total camp.
And how does the kid react to purposeful corniness?
He loves it. I mean, this is a kid who loves Star Wars, and Marvel and DC stuff. So he gets all that. Like he loves Spider-Man, all the iterations today. But there's something about this series that he just goes, this is hilarious. I love this. Right.
I guess that's what kids do, because we had so much good stuff that they just come along and then they pick and choose what they like. And nobody liked rock and roll.
So are you actually gigging now with all of these restrictions?
Yeah, I'm gigging. They just changed all my dates. If you go to jeremyhotz.com, you can see the dates, the new dates. They're up already. That's happening today, or they'll be up later today. And so that's all happening. And then, I'm going out. I'm going out again. And they're still adding theaters that we haven't filled in yet that are being replaced.
Do people have to be vaccinated, or nobody?
Oh, yeah, you gotta be vaccinated. Yeah.
They got to be. Okay.
Yeah, or you can't get into the theater. That's pretty much the rule in Canada right now. If you're not vaccinated, you cannot come.
Yeah.
At this point in time. But by the time these shows happen, that may have changed. Look at England just lifted England lifted that the other day.
Yeah.
It's over. This thing ends really quickly.
Do you do American spots? Do you do a lot of American gigs?
Yeah, I do gigs around here, but it's been compromised here too, right? Because of there's way less, a lot of clubs closed.
Yeah,
but there's new ones opening.
It was a friend of mine who was in Texas, and he said that nobody had a mask, nobody gave a crap. They all just did whatever they were doing and partied.
Yeah, I went to Atlanta, and when you go into the store, you don't even wear a mask. So I think they're still working on tuberculosis there. They're not even up to the COVID. I mean, my God, they're just,
That's right.
I mean, I wore one anyway. Just out of respect to other people.
Well, and also to protect yourself, for God's sake. I mean, these people want to breathe. It's not my choice.
Well, I've been inoculated 3 times, and Shoppers Drug Mart still fucked it up. So there you go.
So if you had advice for somebody who wanted to commit themselves to a public life as a performer, besides don't do it, what would it be?
Do it, because what do you want to get a shit job somewhere, working a forklift somewhere and just fucking do that every day? Come on. Like if you want to do this, you must try. You only live the one time. So you may as well get up there and see if you can do it or not. After that, then you got a decision to make, but try it. Absolutely try it. It's like sex. What if you went through life and never tried it? That would be bad, but you would be disease free.
Well, certain diseases.
Well, that's the generalized anxiety disorder.
That's right. When you read about a disease, do you immediately think, okay, that's it. I have this.
I'm not allowed to go on the internet and research any medical thing at all. My psychiatrist is stop. I
don't do it. No. Yeah, no, it would be horrible. It's bad enough looking at an insect you've never seen before.
No, they check my,
they really check.
History. But all they find is porn. Hey.
Well, Mr. Hotz, I have to tell you, it's been an absolute pleasure. I haven't been able to hang out with you in decades.
No, it's been a long time, Ralph. I'm really glad we did this. And it was the Toronto Mike guy that was like, yeah. And then I was like, oh, yeah, I got to do Ralph's because he gave me my first thing on TV. And you did.
Beautiful. Well, I'm happy I did because, I've seen clips. That's as close as I've gotten. I'd love to come see a show sometime.
Oh yeah, come when I come into the Toronto area one day.
Yeah.
You'll come, you'll hang.
Because I always loved your comedy. I always thought that even the tension you play with on stage is like, to me. No, really, it's like it was always like this understanding of there is going to be a tension here tonight, and I am going to decide how it moves through the evening. And I've always loved that about your act. It was always great. All right, you take care of yourself, okay?
You too, champ. Thanks for everything, Ralph. Take it easy, buddy.
Anytime. This is Not That Kind of Rabbi. I'm Ralph Benmergui. You can go to ralphbenmergui.ca. I've got a book that is out now and is out there, Amazon, wherever you want it. It's called I Thought He Was Dead, and it's a spiritual memoir. And if you're wondering where's the title from, if you spent most of your life in public and then you decide you're not in public anymore, about 10 years, 11, you go to a party and someone goes, this is Ralph Benmergui. And they look at you and for a moment they think, I thought he was dead. So that's where the title comes from. And a perfect proof point, Mort Saul, 91 years old, died recently. And
did he?
And we used to watch Mort Saul. And as soon as I saw the obit, I went, I thought he was dead. And so I realized, okay, this title works. So it's a thing. So there's the book. There's Not That Kind of Rabbi. I do another one called Yehupetzville on Canadian Jewish News. I also do spiritual counseling, have lots of clients. And if you're interested in that stuff, you go to ralphbenmergui.ca and tell me you're interested in that stuff. We'll see if we can get together. Take care of each other. Be kind to each other. And if Jeremy Hotz is in town, go see Jeremy Hotz. You will have a great time. All right. Take care, my friend.
Thanks, Ralphie.
Bye.